have the full cost of the distribution. So one of the strange things is that according to that, then if you get some, and according to our accounting, crypto for the moment is a commodity. So if we accept it, we need to on top ask for more money to distribute this commodity, which doesn't make sense in the context of crypto, but these are some of the active challenges with it. I think both will be solved, one with the maybe stable coins or national coins, and the other with the updating of accounting standards to account for the emergence of the advancement of technology. But if it could be done, then it would be fantastic, because you get that end-to-end visibility, you can reduce cost, and I think it will be more efficient.
Thank you. And picking up on the question, actually, more and more Korean companies are using blockchain technology to the donation or assistance services. So what do you think about the changes of the Korean companies using blockchain technology?
To be honest, I'm not super familiar with the usage of blockchain technology among Korean companies for donations, but I just think it's a natural evolution. I mean, the evolution of money from using salt to using gold to using banknotes to using plastic cars to using mobile money, and the next step is blockchain. So I think sooner or later everybody will be using it.
Donation using blockchain is getting prevailed. But I believe it is ideal that using blockchain technology in assistance or donation services in terms of the transparency. However, such assistance will be given to underdeveloped countries where there is shortage of infrastructure to make a liquidity. And still, when you see the even developed countries, there are shortage of the infrastructure. So what do you think about the infrastructure in underdeveloped countries? And do you have any plan to improve the infrastructure in underdeveloped countries?
Right, so infrastructure, the main requirement is the internet at the point of distribution. So there are certainly places that you cannot guarantee that. As I mentioned, I think connectivity globally is improving. I think there's people like Google, SpaceX, OneWeb, Facebook even, with drones, with balloons, with satellites, are looking to bring blanket global internet connectivity at relatively low cost. So the connectivity organically is going through mobile network operators, but I think it will be blanketed at some point. And the other requirement really a smartphone would do, and also that is increasing rapidly because of lower cost and wider acceptance. So those are the two keys you need for let's say, infrastructure point of view to be able to do what we do. As far as if we're talking about the acceptance of cryptocurrencies, I think I alluded to that a little bit during the presentation, that I think we need to wait either for widely accepted stablecoins or government-issued crypto or government-issued blockchain tokens.
Okay, thank you. And next question is, I believe using blockchain technology into food aid is, because we can look at each assistance from each organization. So it is ideal in terms of the transparency and speedy assistance. And also using blockchain technology into food aid, we can remove the negative image of the blockchain. So how do you think when we can such blockchain technology commonly used?
That's the question. Okay. Soon, hopefully. So again, Gartner is an IT company, and they have this thing, something called the hype cycle graph. So each year they publish this graph, and it kind of looks like this. It goes up and it comes back down. And they argue that each new technology gets very hyped first. Then people get disillusioned. They're like, oh, it's not going to work, so it's going to crashes, and then it slowly picks back up. And they put blockchain just past the peak of the hype. But when I look at that graph, there's two components to it. There's a technological component and there is a psychological component. Artificial intelligence, for example, at least in concepts, has been around since the 1950s. And there's been a few so-called AI winters and AI summers. I think I'm making that one up. Where say, oh, it will do everything everything and it will be fantastic, and then nothing happens after 10 years and people say forget it. So this has happened a few times, and now in our time, AI is now actively being used widely, at least artificial spatial intelligence. So, but that's, so in a sense, the technology was not ready to deliver what was being asked. It was not ready to meet the demand a few times, and now it's slowly taking back up. With blockchain, at least in our use case, I think the technology is ahead of the demand for it or the psychological acceptance of it. And a lot of that, again, is because of, I think, maybe misperception is not the key word, but focus on a very few narrow use cases as opposed to the wider possibility. And I think the key thing is to try to demonstrate, instead of just convincing with arguments, demonstrate how it's working in practice. And this is the approach we've taken. So we started small, we've been pilot, 100 people, 10,000 people, 106,000 people, and now hopefully more. And as part of that, we're also inviting everyone to join us. So we're not selling anything to anyone. We're saying any reputable humanitarian organization can join us, and we will give everything we have for free. Our smart contracts, blockchain structure, the web application backend. So this way that instead of, if people have resources, instead of reinventing what we did, they can dedicate those resources to improve these, who is in charge of gender equality and women empowerment, has joined us recently. And we're actually implementing exactly what I showed before. So they have their own systems, we have our own, but we're collaborating on this neutral blockchain space to help the same people. We are assisting through food, they are assisting through cash. We have created linkages to food sales like supermarkets. They have linkages to cash. And we hope soon, within the next year, I hope, to have a few more. And once we demonstrate how this works, is where I hope it would really take off.
Okay, thank you very much. And actually, picking up on the questioner delivered the appreciation to WFP by using blockchain technology to food. Thank you very much. And the question is, for your future project, do you have any plan to expand your partnership with other UN organizations to improve efficiency of ID verification service?
Yeah. Great question. It deals directly on the last one. We have each one piece, and we need to have buy-in from many people, not only UN, but hopefully even government agencies or ID information. And again, ID has a very wide definition, so we need all the components. But also, rightfully so, we need to be money. So, as I mentioned, we're offering full collaboration to reputable humanitarian organizations, UN agencies, and I hope by demonstrating how something simpler like cash transfers can work, we can build on the exact same infrastructure to then start amalgamating ID information. There's no reason you cannot do it in parallel, but I think that psychological component is what we need to overcome, to show it's safe, to show it works, to gain the trust that's needed, and then build that to move towards identity.
Thank you for answer. WFP, or do you work with other organizations to apply those emerging technology?
We do not have dedicated resources within WFP. We work with two companies mainly. Parity Technologies of Ethereum for blockchain components and smart contracts and so on and so forth. And we also use the Parity Ethereum client with the proof of authority consensus mechanism. And another company called Baltic Data Science, based out of Poland, that does essentially all the web application, all the back end, and they've even helped us do some innovation. We've created our own nonce management, for example, which they have helped us create to be able to go at much faster speeds than normally allowed.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question is, there are many projects with humanitarian vision for the underdeveloped countries. So, is there any project do you have special interest, or is there any project under discussion?
For what? Sorry, I missed the part that.
There are many projects with the humanitarian vision for food aid or other assistance in underdeveloped countries. So is there any project, do you have any interest in it? or is there any project under discussion?
Yeah, so there are a lot of projects, and we run many with the program, but there's definitely more of them. So we have operations in more than 80 countries. We assist more than 80 million people. So as I mentioned, after Jordan, we're looking at our operations in Bangladesh. We're looking at operations in Palestine. Colombia, for the Venezuelan refugee crisis, could also be one potential, but that's a bit more remote. So again, we do have to work within the list that we have and the constraints. So we need to have certain assurances. One, that at least there is connectivity at the point of distribution, for example. Two, that the operational context meets the requirements. So for example, if it's a very dispersed, if it's a very concentrated population, then it does much more rapid, for example. So again, we're starting with where it's most suitable, and then as technology improves, as connectivity improves, as infrastructure improves, we will be able to expand then to more and more operations.
Thank you very much. Thank you for answering long questions. 네, 수고해주신 후만 하다드님께 다시